This is the game Wolfpack. It came out in 1990. I purchased this game before I went off to college. It's an interesting game. It's a strategy game. World War II, submarines and surface ships going after each other. The submarines are the German side, and the surface ships are the Allied side. Here's a little bit of a preview or a demo showing a destroyer from the submarine's point of view. There's two submarines there. They switch back and forth. So anyways, what this submarine here is going to do is shoot 2 torpedoes or 3 torpedoes at that ship. You can see he's rising out of the water. He will be sending over some torpedoes in a few minutes. So it's a strategy game. By 1990 standards, it was pretty good. By 2014 standards, 24 years later, it's kind of not such a great in terms of graphics. But the strategy part of it is pretty good. Anyways, I noticed about 6 years after I had the game, there was a bug in there which allows you to greatly exceed the speed of any submarine at the time, even now. And it was quite interesting. So those submarines back in 1943, 44, 45, you can go up to 15 knots. And the electric ones, the class 21, can go up to 21 knots. But with the bug, you can go much faster. You can go at airplane speeds. So the way to do that is to damage the diesel slightly. So I'll show you here. So anyways, I created a mission. I damaged the diesels and saved the mission so that I could show everybody how this is done. So behind me is land, as you can see on the map, and also behind us on the periscope. What I did is I backed into the land and caused damage to the diesel. As soon as I did that, I saved the mission, and pretty much from there we can do some interesting things. So the way damaged diesel, what happens here, the way it affects the ship is when you're in diesel mode and you go at full speed or any speed, there's a value, I'm going to get hit here, that basically pulls back. I just got hit by a destroyer. I can go 15 knots, but if I have damage on the diesels, I can only go about 7 knots. So the mistake, I just got killed here. Let me go back in here. The mistake that was made is that if you go backwards when you're running the diesels, that pullback that exists to half your speed is being applied to reverse, which is half of 0, which is a positive number, and it's negative, so it's negative reverse, which is forward speed. So it just keeps adding and adding and adding speed. So it looks at your current speed, tries to cut it in half and add to it. So the speed just continues to increase. So I set the year to 1943, and that allows you to use a snorkel, which allows you to run underwater while you're basically in the, you're at periscope depth. Diesels are able to run underwater. Now, any U-boat captain in 1943, surrounded by a whole bunch of destroyers, would probably run electrically and would be much further down. The bottom is 20 meters right now, so I wouldn't really be able to go that far anyways. It's a very dangerous situation. As you saw earlier, as soon as I surfaced, I was painted with radar, and I got shot out of the water. So here I am at flank speed, 7 knots. And what I'm going to do is put this on reverse. I'm going to slow down for a little bit, and then it starts to creep back up. So 7 knots, 8 knots, 9 knots, 10 knots, etc. The fastest for this boat was 15. I have just exceeded the speed. I'm now going 17 knots. I'm going to increase the time here, maybe by a factor of 2, maybe 4. And you can see that speed increasing quite a bit. I'm being pinged. I'll put down my periscope so I don't get nailed. So with the diesels running, they can see me on the sonograph, on sonar, but it's not really going to do them any good because I'm traveling faster than they can even try to track me. I just passed 100 knots. So I'm 120 knots. So it just keeps flipping over, and every time I keep going faster and faster, noting if you look at the trail. So we're back down to timing of 1 again. Something happened. What I'm going to do is I'm going to exit out and turn this into daylight. I'm going to surface. Now I'm going to do something very crazy. I'm going to go through that whole mess, that nest of destroyers, which would be suicidal under normal circumstances. But in this case, it's like flying a supersonic jet right past a bunch of World War II ships. Yeah, imagine the SR-71 flying right past them. The other thing is, anybody surfacing at this time in the 1943 would have been painted with radar, and the only reason why they would surface is probably to give up, which probably would have been better. If you were a German submarine commander, your chances of coming back are pretty low. 75% of the people who went out into the ocean never came back as U-boat personnel. So I'm off the coast of Ireland and Britain. I'm going to speed it up a little bit. There we go. So I can see those guys. They can see me. They can certainly see me on radar now. So my radar detection shows that I've been painted with radar. This would be a lethal moment for me. So I just shot. They're 6,800 meters away. There's their shots. They're going to miss me. They're shooting from my position earlier. So now the only thing that I have to worry about is if they get a lucky shot, they could cause me some problems. And it's happened before, even at the speed. There he goes. I just shot one at him. Let's see if I hit that guy. Nope, I missed him. I have to avoid hitting land. So the thing here with this is lateral. If I'm going past them in parallel, it's really hard to be hit. So I hit one of them just now. I'm looking behind me. And there they are. They're still trying to shoot at me. They're missing. I better look in front of me because I'm going to hit something. There's some more of them right there. Now, I can submerge and run off of my snorkel, but I have to be careful I don't hit the ship with my periscope. Let's give him a nice goodbye gift. There we go. I just hit him. So they weren't even able to hit me. They're still trying to shoot at me. I'm outrunning their shells. The other thing is if I shoot a torpedo, sometimes I outrun my own torpedoes. So I just sunk one of the ships with 2 torpedoes. Basically went close enough to fire them at 915 meters. The other thing here is that I get a lot of warnings constantly that I'm going to strike the bottom because I'm going so fast. And the way it calculates your possibility of hitting something is based on your speed and distance. So there we are, 2,400 meters away, range-wise. I'll put 2 fish into him. 1, 2. He's pretty much done. So if you're playing a duel, or if this game was ever ported and changed in a way that allowed you to network it, and you had your diesels damaged, there's a way to get around that problem. Not such a bad thing. And I just found this out by accident one time. Oh my, 2 fish right at him. I barely missed him. I hit him, he's gone. So I've taken out 2 destroyers in a matter of minutes. You know, this is not possible in reality. Yeah, the problem is if you get too close to land and you hit it, it'll immediately stop the boat. It won't do a bunch of damage like you would think at 400 or 500 knots, but it'll instantly stop you. And then you're going to have to deal with issues like what do you do when you're surrounded by a bunch of angry destroyers. The other interesting thing is sometimes these destroyers end up shooting each other because they're trying to hit me. So here's something else that's of interest. We'll submerge, go back on to snorkel. My periscope is damaged, by the way, so that's useless now. I have to go back out into the surface. So I shouldn't have been surface this whole time because I have a snorkel. So historically, in the early part of the war, the submarines had a great advantage, but toward the end of the war, they were at absolute disadvantage. These submarines were being painted by radar, hunted by aircraft, sonar was becoming more advanced. It just wasn't very good for them. But, you know, that's what happens in warfare. This guy's just sitting there like a sitting duck. I better avoid hitting him. The other thing is if I weave back and forth, I avoid those lucky shots. I'll get this guy here. I did a forward and backward torpedo just now. It went so fast that I had to load a torpedo in the back. So if I look at my map, those torpedoes are all over the place. I don't really want to waste one right now. I'll try to get myself turned around. I'll show on the map how I overtake the torpedoes, but I want to make sure that I'm going out to sea before I turn on the map because it's hard to see myself. Like I said, the graphics in here are lousy, but they're okay. I'm getting dangerously close. If I hit that land, I'm immediately stopping. I did. I'm in deep trouble now. I better submerge. So in this case, I can't back up. If I try to back up, I may end up submerging again. So I'm going to go on electric power and see if I can turn a little bit. Uh-oh. I think I have damage where I'm flooding. Oh, that's not good. So I cannot submerge. If I do, I'll end up not coming back up. I better get myself out of there. So that's the other thing. Don't run into things. It's not good for you. So I increased time up to 64 times speed. Get my speed way up there. Turn around and come back home. Now, you know, the point of the game is to take out convoys and avoid being hunted down by the destroyers. Or if you're on top side, go and attack submarines. Both of these missions are quite interesting. As far as I know, I haven't found any way of doing this with the ships where you can increase your speed dramatically. I'm going to go on the map mode, and I'm going to fire 2 torpedoes. So there I am. I just outran my own torpedo. Since I'm getting close to this guy, I'm going to fire off another torpedo at him. Look at the map. I passed my own torpedo. It's hard to see that. I just got hit, and I'm done. So I'm sinking, and it's over. I lost 38%. Out of 8 destroyers, I destroyed 5 of them. Pretty good for one submarine, 1943. So that's it. Thanks for watching my video. This is kind of an interesting game.